When did it become important to you to merge your faith with your work?
Right after I was saved. I mean, it just come natural in that sense. Yeah. Over the years, patients come in and being placed in a position where I could be a witness to the patient or someone who's coming in to get medication for the patient. I remember, this just comes to mind, I had a brother whose son was killed one day or one night. And he evidently went to the doctor, they gave him a little medication, and he came to the store to get it filled. And there was a gentleman with him. Actually, what is the pharmacist's name there that just opened up? She's on the market board down here at Harper's Ferry. Carter. Yeah. In fact, she worked with me a number of, well, not a lot of years, but a year or two. But it was her dad that was with him. And after we got his medication, we went out and I prayed with him. And years later, the pharmacist's dad mentioned that to me. He says, I remember you praying for that man that night. You know? And not that I reckon I just got it out of my mind, you know. But then bringing the pamphlets up and putting them in front of the pharmacy, you know, where people could pick them up and read them, you know. And you'd be surprised at how people would pick those pamphlets up and read gospel tracts, etc., and how they would look at them and take them and read them. And that was done for a number of years. Yeah.
You didn't say, but what year was it that you came away from the pharmacy? I know for a little while you've worked part-time with the pharmacy, but what year was it when you began part-time with the pharmacy?
That was probably 7, 8 years ago, maybe even a little longer than that.
Okay.
Yeah, they let me go back in and work some.
And you continued with the gospel tracts right through those years?
Not like we did at one time, but we still, in fact, when I was checking prescriptions, they pass them down as they prepare them, I'd check them, and after I check them, I'd put a tract in their bags. I did that for a while. See, now, this thing is now you're not there and you can't do it anymore. You miss that. You know? So that's what 80 years does for you.
Thankfully, Mr. Howard, you've set a great example for someone who has sought to honor God in their work and how they cared for people. And I think that probably was a big motivator, a big impetus behind Healthkeeperz adopting the mission statement that we have today. I think it's 2017 when we adopted our mission statement, which is caring for all people for the glory of God. And it was you being the first Barnabas, as we sometimes say, the big Barnabas, that was crucial in all of that. So I think today, our desire to care for one another, our desire to care for our community, in a sense, you can think of your investment into all of that is part of why all that happened.
And because of that, I want to feel and think that it'll go on and even get much larger. Witnessing becomes far greater, you know, and that even to the point, and we've talked about this before, witnessing even having the staff, even maybe they're not doing this because they're members of Healthkeeperz, but even because they are, weekends or whatever, they create enough spiritual endeavor to go out and witness and tell people about the Lord in whatever way they like, whatever that witness represents or how it represents, you know, them going out and speaking for the Lord. Yeah. And it's my desire that's the ultimate desire for the progress of Healthkeeperz.
Yeah, well, God willing, the next generation will do that. We'll do that. So we want to take a moment and talk about the Barnabas culture. Part of the purpose here is just to bring us back to our roots. So I want to read from Acts chapter 4, when Barnabas was first introduced to us. We learned something interesting. Beginning in verse 36, we read this: "Thus Joseph, who was also called by the apostles Barnabas, which means son of encouragement, a Levite, a native of Cyprus, sold a field that belonged to him and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet." Now what's interesting there is that we learn that Barnabas was this gentleman's nickname. His real name was Joseph, but he was apparently so well known by for his encouragement or for his character, his nickname stuck with him.
And it says there that it was the apostles that gave him that nickname.
Yeah, it's the apostles.
So they saw in him what that name meant, and they gave him that name.
That's
because of his character.
That's right. You and I were talking earlier, and we were mentioning that later on in the book of Acts, it's Barnabas who kind of vouches for the character or for this transformation that's happened in the Apostle Paul, because at one time the Apostle Paul was a persecutor of the church. And so when he wanted to come to the disciples, when he wanted to meet with Jesus' disciples, they were afraid of him. But they trusted Barnabas such that when Barnabas vouched for Paul, they allowed him to come in. That says a great deal for his character, doesn't it?
It does. And then there at Antioch of Pisidia, when the saints people began to get saved in large numbers, evidently Barnabas felt like he needed some help. Mm-hmm. But previous to that, the Apostle Paul had left and gone back to Tarsus. But evidently Barnabas knew where he was. And evidently God had given the Apostle Paul a gift for preaching and teaching. And Barnabas knew he needed Paul's help. So he took off and went out to Tarsus and got Paul and brought him back to Antioch. And they preached and taught there for a year at Antioch. And if Barnabas hadn't gone to get him, and bring him back, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So we hope that can this kind of personality and desire and love of a heart be transferred to the minds of people that our staff and our people, so that we can emulate that. I know all that sounds good, but how practical can we make it?
Yeah, I think that's what we want to do, and all of those things led us to create the Barnabas Award. We've even named our culture. What is it like to be at Healthkeeperz? That's how we refer to our culture, as the Barnabas culture. And we want it to be a culture of encouragement. And so I just want to remind everyone, take a moment, remind you of the Barnabas Award. We give this award out to one of our co-workers each quarter. We have the opportunity to nominate a co-worker, and then the caring team reviews those nominations. They're anonymous at that point, and selects the award winner. And the nominee is chosen based on them living out our 4 core values. And those 4 core values are: be compassionate, pursue excellence, take ownership, and put family first. And you may sum all that up and is this an encouraging individual? And that's how those nominations are chosen. Now, the award winner for each quarter, they get a nice gift. They get a $500 gift, and they also get some paid time off as well. But then annually at our banquet, from those 4, we nominate the big Barnabas. And that's what we always look forward to doing at our annual banquet. And there's a very nice gift associated with that award as well. But all of those things coming together to build this culture of encouragement, to develop individuals who really emulate Barnabas. Mm-hmm. So I believe with God's help, Mr. Howard, We can do this. We've been doing it. God, when I say we, it's God's been doing it through us, which is how God is pleased to work, through faithful people. So thank you for being faithful for so many years. I love the portion of your story, of your testimony, where you said there was a time when you needed to see the empty tomb. You needed to see it to believe it. But when the day came that you were able to see it with the eyes of faith, Amen, and believe, I know He's been able to use you as a wonderful instrument in His kingdom. So thank you. So with God's help, we'll do this. We will be an encouraging place to work, a great place to work. Look for another video coming out soon when we'll be meeting with Jamie Chavis, Dawn Cox, Jessica Locklear, and Kimberly Price Critchley. Those are our 4 Barnabas Award winners for 2021, and we'll be meeting with them with similar videos. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.